really on point as of late. So let's take a look at the bans. Let's find out where we're actually going to be playing. Space Station will ban first, Noble ban second. Did you see Border and Clubhouse were banned or played in the previous week, sir? Keep saying that. Previous week, man. It's so disorienting.
It's definitely been like a super compressed 7 weeks.
But in the previous play day, Border and Clubhouse were played, so they are not able to be played here. Consulate and Bank going to be our first 2 bans.
Bank.
So
Bank always got to go.
Welcome to the void.
That's what happens when you ban Bank.
Yeah.
Every time. But that is something that is not surprising. Consulate we've also seen banned quite often earlier on.
Oregon getting the boot there, and Villa the last one as expected. So Coastline, the map we will go to. I mean, if you're not going to play Villa, Coastline's nice.
But Noble's one of the ones that has played Villa, and I would expect, you know, maybe they would potentially do it. But to be fair, Noble do have a 100% win rate on this. Of course, that means they've played it once.
They played it once, and they won it.
But to be fair, it was also 6-2. We were just talking about how EG had a 6-2 previously on their match on Oregon against Obey. These guys played against SK, 6-2 them as well.
Yeah.
So we know they have a good strategy for it, but they've got to keep in mind when they go to pick this map, right? They go, we're good at this map, but that means SSG knows how we're good at this map. We've got to change things up.
So it comes down to how good SSG is at dissecting the strategy that Noble will bring to the board, and whether or not Noble has come up with new strategies to break that interpretation. We'll find out once we get into the actual map, but Coastline definitely going to be, in my opinion, regardless of all of that, slanted slightly in the favor of Noble.
Yeah, definitely in this case. Although, to be fair, like going back to older SSG, you know, obviously they've had roster changes, but they were pretty good at this map as well. I remember going back to when I believe they were most wanted, and they took a pretty good map. I think they took this map potentially off EG, if I remember correctly, or it was a very good match either way against EG. You know, ages ago.
We see that from a lot of the younger squads, and, you know, I say younger in terms of their experience in Pro League. Noble and SSG, you know, they fill into that category, that they're more proficient at some the newer maps because they're a little bit... It's hard to put, really, but there's less to unlearn before you can start learning new stuff in their minds, I would imagine.
Well, not only that, but you're not trying to take them on their own territory. You're trying to take them on new territory in terms of saying, let's find the one weakness they have, which is maps they haven't played as much or maps they aren't as good at. But in this case, Coastline's not brand new. I mean, taking them to Villa would have been a bit more of a new team's advantage sort of thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Coastline's still... I guess comparatively,
comparatively new,
it's a new map, but it isn't really.
I think it was the last new map before Villa, if I remember things correctly. Then
yes, and
in
the maps that we have in the map pool, from my understanding. So, anyway, Coastline's going to be a good platform for us to decide which team is better between the two, but who do you think is the superior squad going into this?
Well, they were right last time, I guess. EG definitely took it good. Noble not getting as much of a vote as I would have thought, and I think that was something that was also mentioned in Nightmare's interview, saying specifically people just aren't rating them as high as they've been performing.
Yeah,
just because, you know, people are already Space Station fans or other team fans.
I have to say, I've been taking a particular interest in Noble as of late, specifically after the Obey match that we got to watch from them. It was really intriguing. Just the sheer sharpness of their play, and we'll see if that's going to continue today. It could be they have something similar to what Rogue just went through. But let's load into the match again. It's going to be Coastline.
Ooh, here we go. Should be fun to see, because the operator bans I think will factor in all here, just because this is by itself has been very attacker favored, but depending on how the attack bans go, you could make some adjustments that help shift that a little bit.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, the ban phase is going to play a huge part, though. You're right. And we'll see what the first ban is. It's going to be Noble to kick us off. And then we'll see Space Station for the next two. They're getting rid of Lion.
Not a surprise?
No, not at all. I mean, we haven't really seen any terribly surprising bans today. In the previous match, it was Ying, Dokabi, Mira, Maestro, and that's just all what you would expect. This is,
speaking of which,
more of what you would expect. Ying taken out, so we're going to see Glaz still on the board, though I've heard from, again, multiple people that Glaz is not as good as he was.
Yeah, didn't see it. Flash play it.
Changes to the recoil, nerf to the damage, you know, some pretty heavy shifts there, so it's possible we won't see him played.
Well, we saw two of the nerfed operators not being played as much as they usually would, or not being banned, so it's definitely had an impact. Valkyrie, one of those bans that does get in there more often than you'd think.
But so map, the Valkyrie being banned instead of a Maestro means you still have indirect influence over a diffuse plant, or I guess in a way, no, yeah, it's indirect. So you can still bring in that Maestro, use those evil eyes to deny a plant. I mean, technically you can do that from below with a Valkyrie cam and C4 as well, but I think this is it's definitely a very interesting ban phase. And
well, in this case, I know Noble like to use Maestro, so maybe it's just a case where they don't want to ban it because they want to use it, and it's that simple.
It could be that simple, yeah, but I still don't know how I feel about that, man. In the long run, if you're looking at this, I mean, Castle being rotated in for Frost, that makes a lot of sense on a blue bar defense. This is interesting too. We're seeing the first IQ of the day. IQ, an operator that has seen a very hefty nerf recently. She lost her grenades, and there was a 5-meter reduction to her ability scan radius from 20 meters to 15 meters. So
I gotta imagine the grenades is probably more of the reason for not being played.
The grenades were definitely a very heavy hit, that's for sure. Looks like Noble are going to be extending themselves into the kitchen for their defense, and just kind of a different roam than what you're used to. Again, this is the strategy that you see from Noble that you just don't expect.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of new stuff. I like what they're doing here. So let's take a look here from the top down. You can see that they're going to use the castle to barricade off the kitchen, and they're also going to use the castle to help them in their rotation to kitchen from the site. As you can see in just a second, I'm sure. Yeah, there it is. He's actually teleporting back. I don't think he knows it. It's he's going to have to go for the vault. But yeah, so you see the castle go up there in the hallway, and that's going to allow for rotation between the site and kitchen. And basically, they cut out just an extra swath of the bottom floor, and they're able to roam really efficiently and deny potential plants inside of Sunrise. I really like this setup from Noble. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it works out. It's interesting too that they brought Thermite instead of Habana on attack here when it wasn't banned, because just this map in general, especially with Mira still in play, it seems like it would have benefited from having Habana instead.
It's definitely a different operator than what you would normally expect, but I can see Thermite working here. You know, a lot of the time when you're not sure what to expect in terms of the sites, you'll bring both hard breachers, but I guess in this case, Space Station just wanted their exact kit.
I like that just long hole open there.
Yeah, so much of this strategy, or so much of the setup from Noble is really well thought out. A lot of it is, I mean, that's just potentially a random free kill. You can see Shuttle is droning luggage, right? He's going to maybe potentially eventually push luggage. But he's not going to drone the far angle from kitchen as he pushes luggage. So if he doesn't check it and he exposes himself on that push, he will lose his life, assuming the castle can hit his shots. And that's Heavy, who has been hitting his shots very reliably in the season so far.
Yeah, he's definitely been a big player. I mean, sometimes more on other operators than Castle, but he's definitely been an important clutch player overall for his team. And it's interesting to see Yeti again playing mute as well, something we've seen him do a little bit. So these operators seem to have found their stride. I mean, we're seeing them play the same operators. Breezy is almost always on Smoke. Crazy is almost always on Jaeger. Acid's on Mira a lot. This is them playing to their strengths, and the exact opposite of what we've been seeing EG doing a lot in terms of consistency of operator selection on defense.
Absolutely. I mean, consistency is one thing, right?
Yeah.
And getting used to one operator in particular can be to your benefit, but it all just comes down to that headshot in the end, and Crazy going to be the one to get that first onto Shuttle. He loses his life. There will no longer be an IQ for the attack. So 40 seconds left. This has been a very slow round for Space Station.
Yeah.
They seemingly are unsure of where they want to commit, but they finally made a decision, and it's going to be Yeti upstairs who will get one onto thinking before Breezy gets Redeemer on the push from the Sunrise bar. Chala on low HP manages to make it to Sandwich, but cannot win that fight. Acid with a shotgun. Rampy, the final attacker now, will be pushing in through the side entrance, and this is not a great angle for you to be challenging, especially not against 5 defenders. Noble locking Space Station out entirely. Rampy will get the first kill for his team, but what a shot from Breezy to finish things off, and the first round go to Noble off of an amazingly well-established defense.
Yeah, it was unconventional in a lot of ways, but absolutely worked very solid, and just did not seem like Space Station were prepared for it. I mean, it is rare overall, especially for NA teams, to be starting on bar first, so that already was unconventional. You throw in a very different setup on top of that. This is exactly what we're talking about, where we're talking about Noble have shown strategies from their previous match against SK, and so they just threw all those out the window and are going with such a different approach. SSG cannot be prepared for this.
See, that's the thing. I don't know what element it is, and again, I am definitely gonna inquire after this match, but or after today. But I don't know what element it is on Noble. But as of this most recent season, their strategy game has been like bumped up 3-4 pegs.
Yeah.
And it's super impressive to watch. They seem to be advancing extremely fast, and I really loved that setup. A lot about it. It does make me kind of nerd out a little bit when it comes to the actual hold. The way they were playing horizontal roam instead of your typical vertical roam. Most teams, when they're going onto an attack of the double bar, they expect you to be roaming vertically.
Because you need that control,
And there was a vertical roam, but it was deceptive in its existence because it was late into the round. The attackers droned out the top floor. They took control over parts of the top floor, most namely Hookah, and they made their push, but they weren't anticipating a retake of that top floor. And the cool thing about it is the defense is in such close proximity. I mean, all you have to do is inch your way up a single flight of stairs.
Yeah.
And it's not really that hard.
You saw that mute jammer as well, playing into that. They jammed the stairs, Yeti did specifically so he could play lower on those stairs for that late retake.
So even if you don't get pressured from the kitchen, even if the attackers don't choose to confront you there, then that kitchen roam turns into a late top floor roam and ultimately will aid you quite a lot when it comes to denying vertical pressure from the attackers. So, so much about the defense from Noble there was great, but now they have to give us a different one as they go on to the penthouse projector hold.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we did see a little bit of interesting defenses set up there. I like the deployable shield they had in the doorway as well.
We are seeing yet again that Maestro all the way over in Billiards with the long angle established. He can do this all by himself, too, with that shotgun pistol.
Yeah, he does that well. I think this is a good choice for him, but surprisingly, he's actually going to go out in the hallway and push it more aggressively.
Now, this call might have been made based on the pressure the attackers are applying to Projector as of this moment. They are going for the Thermite strategy on Projector Wall, a strat that we don't see very frequently, but is always interesting when we do. You can see that Acid has broken his own mirror windows so that he can now play inside of Master and deny the push without losing full control. The shield's actually going to aid the defense a lot in this round.
No, I like the setup here. They were set up to be able to play it flexibly as they needed to. Losing Theater wasn't a huge deal for them. You see one attacker there down. This foot sticking out. He's not going to be all that long for this world as Heavy finishes him off, taking the kill from Crazy. But Yeti getting shuttle as well. This is falling apart for Space Station.
So they have opened up the wall that they want, but they have not been able to secure the frags that they need to make the actual push. And they're going to now start trying to take this hallway. Yeti will deny that, though. His second in the round. Nice kill on T'Challa. The diffuser has been downed. Using those gas canisters, Breezy able to down the Thermite, and it looks like Crazy will get the final kill under Rampy, but nope, it was actually not even the gas canisters, just guns for Noble, and another round secured off of a well-established defensive strategy, and as you said, a great amount of flexibility in that defensive strategy.
Yeah, it seemed like they were ready to adjust the moment they needed to. The plan, like they had a plan B. Like, oh no, if we lose Theater, fine, we pivot. We have the deployable shield, works both ways. No problem there. We can make this work. We can also go roam downstairs late once we have more manpower than them and go for those flanks. It was definitely a very smart play all around from them. And this is on a map, as I said earlier, which has normally been attacker favored.
I can't get over how it... I feel like maybe I'm leaning too far into it, but I just can't get over how assertive Noble are being on their defense. One thing that of note there was Yeti. You called it. He rotated off of Billiards way faster than most players would have. Way quicker than most teams would have made the call. You don't usually anticipate that. Most teams, when they have a roamer in Billiards, they'll call for the rotation once they start losing manpower in the site, and then Yeti will make the move. But he was just like, oh, you're being pressured from top of main lobby stairs. They're trying to take Projector from a Thermite hole in the wall. I'll just push into the main hallway and I'll deny them control over main hallway. And that was so pivotal because the denial of main hallway denies the crossfire onto the defenders who were trying to play from the broken mirror windows. So that was a huge move from the Maestro, and you know, you might even expect a different play from many other players. I would anticipate even most people in Billiards to rotate into luggage hallway and try to challenge that way. But Yeti made the smart call, and it ended up helping his team so much.
I think it just, you know, we talk about this sometimes, it's good team communication. We see this a lot from Noble especially, and I think as long as they can stay on this groove, they'll be dominating this match if they keep it up as well. I mean, SSG are playing fairly well, but just they're playing into the hands of Noble too often.
And see, that's the thing. You really touched on it perfectly there, is it's the groove, right? Noble have been looking better than I've ever seen them before as of late, and I would say really top-tier material from them. But, and this is a big but, we have not seen them really prove that standard of play at the highest level, at the those LAN events. We haven't seen them stand out and say that yes, we are a staple top-tier team and we can hold this position. So they've been doing well so far, but they need to keep it up. I mean, it's only 2 rounds into this match. We could see things take a huge shift here. SSG is not a slouch team.
No, not at all.
At any moment, they could start their comeback, and it could all start falling apart for Noble.
Definitely could hear it. Looks like they pre-hit that castle barricade even a little just to prepare that. But this is definitely a little slow of a take here. However, they have not lost anyone on it at least, and they have some map control. So this is slowly working out. And unfortunately, Crazy hitting that at just the wrong time for a shuttle to catch that on his drone. There's also some drone to come from Chala as well. And he's going to potentially just pick that drone back up. But again, these punch holes, something we were talking about earlier, this is something that we're noticing more and more in Pro League games, is punch holes being a bigger deal, just because it's catching people by surprise, especially when you have things like Maestro ACOGs on board. It's just a big effect. And then Yeti just roaming all the way down here and getting away with it. I've talked before about how hard it is to roam on Coastline. Doesn't seem to be a problem for Noble.
Yeah, they really do seem to have it in hand. And it's good on them to, I think it has to do with their communication between teammates and their ability to work on that information. What a shot from Yeti. He's supposed to lose from that angle and that range. A red dot, Ella, able to beat out a ACOG Thermite. What a distance, too. A second one for Yeti onto Rampy, and the Ella is shutting down this attack single-handedly in an engagement distance that is just not typical for an Ella to be actually useful.
Yeah.
He's going to move his way over to that open area. Meanwhile, Crazy trying to pressure into VIP along with Heavy. And you've got those players from the attack in the main hallway upstairs, specifically Shuttle on the IQ, and he's looking for a fight. He knows there are players in VIP, but he checks the wrong angles and loses to Crazy, thinking they will get the first to kill for the attack. Onto Yeti, so the Ella is finally shut down, and Shala's trying to apply pressure through the pre-made holes from the defense into the A site. That's Breezy now feeling that pressure, thinking they through the floor, will get Heavy, has been downed. Chala gets Breezy though, and this is a withstand operator, so the final attacker after Chala's eliminated with 1 HP is gonna have to vault through this window, and Crazy will say no.
Nope. Well, that is all 3 defenses here. They're gonna have to go to either Bar again or potentially Hookah this time. Should be interesting to see which of those they choose, because they have just been dominating this defense. That was maybe a bit closer of a round for SSG, but it still was like, it shouldn't have even gotten that close. Yeti was just allowed to do so much damage for so long.
And see, I think that's it, really. If Yeti hadn't gotten that easy double kill for free in the main lobby, then potentially we could have seen that go for SSG.
Yeah.
They set themselves up for the attack, but they did not account for such a long angle to be played by the defense.
To be fair, that was their 3rd bomb site, though.
It was, yeah, it was their 3rd bomb site, yes. So I guess there's room for lack of it makes sense that there's a lack of accountability. But at the same time, we're talking about an attacking team, and they really should have droned out the main lobby. If you're going to make a push in through double bar, you need to have information on the main lobby, because it is, as much as it's not an easy angle for the defenders to challenge you from, it is an angle the defenders can challenge you from.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see if they end up playing that again, if they can get away with it. But I mean, chances are we won't see them on Kitchen again. So
yeah. Well, double bar going to be the next site. Full rotation here for Noble, and they have been successful in every site they've gone to so far. Thinking Nate, Chala, and Rampy, the only ones to get kills for SSG so far, and it's been a struggle for the space station.
Yeah, we'll see though. Now that they're going to go to a bomb site they have attacked before, they should have some familiarity with it. They should have a better idea of how to attack it. So in theory, SSG should be a bit better adapted, but they've changed their attacker lineup as well. We see Rampy bringing a Glass now. So they're shifting things. We'll see if that works. I mean, that is a good one to attack from certain angles on the site, but...
That's interesting. Yet again, Heavy's not able to make it through that rotation hole. He's made it twice now, and twice, I guess it's just a bugged wall. Unfortunate. But at least you can make it over the mirror window. What?
Yeah, he needs a stud finder for that wall, I think is what it comes down to.
Yeah. Sometimes they can really get in your way, man.
Yeah.
Those wall studs. Now, it seems like SSG is going for a very similar strategy as compared to what they did on the very first round. It's taking this south lobby just to start things off, also referred to as the office. Good position to have, but it is kind of playing into the hands of Noble. Now, Shuttle, I like this. He aggressively has established control over luggage. Last time, he took it slow. He droned it out. It took him a minute and a half to start that push, and he died on it as well.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's just gotten his way in there, is taking the initiative, is I think it's good for Shuttle that he's going to be doing that.
Yeah, I mean, this should be a better push for them. They've made a lot of changes based off what didn't work last time. Maybe this will be where we see Space Station come back a bit.
So now, my problem here for the defense is that there are no operators to deny a plant indirectly. So no Evil Eyes or anything like that.
Just the smoke,
but
I guess.
But they do have the smoke and the C4s, so that's going to be good kit for this denial. So you got that direct denial. Yeti inside of Hookah is going to be trying to contest these roamers. Chala gets down deep inside of Office. Breezy with the push. What timing and the double kill. Shuttle gets his own double though in response before Acid gets Chala. Shuttle the last attacker now as Heavy gets thinking Naden. He will have to ace to win this. What a shot through the wall, anticipating the breach hole. He knows where that smoke is playing, but he's been detected by the camera. He has control over the mirror window. This is a perfect position for a clutch. Again, he will have to get all 5 kills to win this round. He anticipates the mirror of Acid right in front of the window. A 1 versus 1 now. Breezy versus Shuttle. IQ in the hallway has a good position. Breezy gonna try and deny it, but Shuttle has read this perfectly. But Breezy wins out. Shuttle with a 4K, but not enough against Noble. And 4 rounds in a row for the defense.
Wow, that was impressive. I mean, it is unfortunate he was left in that situation. A good read on the mirror in terms of that attack coming around the corner. But unfortunately, the smoke probably actually helped him figure out where the push was coming from. Because when you threw the smoke, you hear someone choking when they run through the smoke. In that case, the sound getting closer as he's approaching the bar is a giveaway that he's approaching the bar. So sound in that situation actually worked out in Breezy's favor, assuming he was able to play off of that and make the smart calls. He also was playing very flexible and had the diffuser right underneath him.
Still,
yeah.
You know, it's sad to see Shuttle get so far and it not really matter.
I know, especially when you're already down this many rounds. If they'd been up a few rounds, like, oh, well, whatever, not a big deal. But yeah, when you're losing on an attack-sided map this much on attack.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I think I'm going to be honest. I think Noble is kind of blindsiding a lot of people with how good they are. I mean, you talked about it earlier. Is that, you know, the coach, I believe it was, who said that they're not getting as much credit as they deserve, and I think they're absolutely right. So far in this season, Noble has been just disgusting. Yeah,
I mean, coming up from Challenger League, you don't necessarily expect that just because of the lack of experience.
And that's the odd thing, isn't it? It's you anticipate a Challenger League team emerging from Challenger League to have Challenger League strategies. Yeah. But their strategies are really actually ingenious in many ways and always something new. And I do appreciate that.
Yeah. And we're seeing it pay off. It's a case where obviously you can have new strategies. That doesn't mean anything if they lose time and time again, because new isn't always better, but in Noble's case, seems to be.
Okay, so here's another thing that we could talk about that we don't see very often. The castle setup over by Hookah while defending Penthouse. And this is going to aid, of course, those roamers in the billiards room. And it means that these two players can just by themselves control the entire west side of this top floor. And that's a lot to clamp down on.
That's a big differentiator.
Yeah, it is a huge change for the defense. And you can even see Noble are extending themselves down into the main lobby using those breach holes in the very beginning of the round. Now, the one thing they're not holding on to very assertively is, of course, the top of main lobby stairs, this south hallway. And obviously, that's going to allow for the same strategy from SSG to be successful 2 times in a row. However, while the strategy may be successful, the round probably won't go in their favor. As we've seen before, Noble are able to rotate to counter this exact strat. But caught in the middle of the rotation, Yeti eliminated. That is a huge player, a cornerstone of the defensive strategy, eliminated, and that will allow SSG to play in the hallway, thus establishing crossfire on any of the potential anchors who are holding on the mirror windows now after the wall has been opened.
This could definitely be a round that finally goes in Space Station's favor, but like you said, you can't count these roamers out. However, they should have a better idea how the roam actually works this time, because again, this is a bomb site they've attacked. But if Crazy can get away with stuff like that the whole round, it's not going to be an easy attack.
Yeah, losing the flank watch and the vertical pressure from below, the attackers now going to have a lot more difficult of a round. An aggressive play from Breezy is read this time by Chala. Not twice in a row, no sir. And the attack is going to continue to snowball as Shuttle gets acid, leaving just Crazy and Heavy, the last two defenders. Crazy coming up from the main lobby stairs will be shut down by Chala, who has been having a fantastic round. Heavy now the final defender in main lobby. Going to have to fight against Shuttle first, who's trying to address him from the main door. Doesn't look like Heavy's aware of this, but oh, just barely missing the shots will be Shuttle. And Heavy's going to be able to continue to fight. He loses the fight eventually, though, to Shuttle as he contests directly. And the first round for Spacestation Gaming. A nice attack onto the south hallway, finally working out for them.
It's got to feel bad when you finally figure out your attack on the last attack round that you get, so you don't get a choice to build off your refinements.
Right.
However, that being said, maybe they will have a good defense, much like Noble did, and we'll see a situation where we get it a bit closer because there's quite a gap right now. 4-1 is a very good situation, again, going into a map that in theory should be attacker favored. It looks like Heavy trying to decide which sniper he wants to be, going from Glaz to Blackbeard. Might be 6 picking Glaz, and that's why he switched off.
Well, it's entirely possible. I want to know if he's going to be using the assault rifle or the DMR on Blackbeard.
Exactly.
As you may or may not know, the DMR saw a damage reduction from 72 to 61 points.
There it is.
And the MK17 went from 42 to 49 points. But it's not going to matter. He's going to 6-pick onto the Glaz, as you predicted. And also worth talking about, Glaz did see a damage reduction from 85 points to 71 points on that OTS.
Yeah. It's definitely a case where, like you said, the recoil might also be a factor in that, because we saw Slash only try it 1 round before just giving up.
Again, just, you know, rumors coming out that the recoils would change, but since I have yet to play the actual patch, and also it wasn't in the patch notes, we can't really say that definitively.
Well, we are going to see some more castle strats coming out here. Interestingly, on an outside door that's not too hard to take care of, but it's a case where sometimes that will slow down the attack a little bit. They are going to have some defense upstairs and using castle to help with that as well. Interestingly, we're going to see Breezy on that Capital. Like I said earlier, something we're seeing a lot of Capital play. We see Jarvis playing it pretty consistently. We saw Slash playing it a lot last round. We see Breezy play it this round. It's an operator that is just somehow managed to make a bit of a comeback with no changes in quite a long time.
Yeah. You do see that from time to time, though. I mean, again, it's the precision. I'm telling you, man, it's the ability to execute your strat based on exactly what you want. You know, when we saw the change in projectiles, the shift from, oh, it just goes where you aim, to it goes where you aim based on your movement.
Yeah.
That, I think, is what's going to bring Capital further into the meta, because you've got an operator who's still just, his smokes go exactly where you want them, no matter what, as long as you aim it right.
I'm sure Capital players still misses grenades, though.
Oh, obviously. I mean, grenades are probably one of the biggest balancing instruments in the entire Pro League, and that's why IQ losing her nades is hurt her pick rate so much today's.
Well, Capital seemingly no worse for the wear, as he's been doing quite well.
Yep.
We'll see, though, if he ends up being as effective in this. Like you said, that precision being a big part of the execute, but that's usually later in the round.
Absolutely.
So we'll see if they can get the control they need to even establish anything for that. But again, we're seeing the Thermite played. I mean, do you think these teams are just preparing for Hibana bans, or just going with a lot more of Thermite-focused strategies now?
I gotta be honest. I think Thermite is a... There's going to be a lot of lashback on this one, but I think he's a much better hard breacher if you're dealing with a horizontal take specifically.
But the guns.
The guns, sure, but well, I mean, even then, I don't know. I mean, I can't fault Thermite's rifle. It used to be a total noodle cannon, and it sucked.
Noodle cannon.
But now it's a fantastic weapon. There's nothing really wrong with that 5.56.
I think it's just the slow ADS time is a little bit more difficult. Maybe
that's it, but I don't know. I don't think that Thermite's a terrible pick here. I think the lack of Hibana is not that big a deal. If you're going for the horizontal takes, then it makes a lot of sense. Now, in this case, Noble's actually doing a lot of vertical pressure, but of course they can't possibly know what the site is they're going to attack. And I think Thermite gives you a little bit more versatility on Coastline. Again, this is the sort of thing that goes on map basis. What a shot from Thinking Nade. Long angle onto Crazy, and he's lining up for the second. Redeemer's going to get the second, though. That's Acid. Noble starting to feel the pain as Yeti gets the first kill for their team. Heavy has pushed his way into the site, but he's eating a lot of that gas canister, and he will finally die to it. Thinking Nade also gets Yeti, leaving Breezy the final attacker. He's going to have to 1v3 to win this, and it's not going to be easy.
Diffuser, unfortunately, is down in the kitchen, so they know exactly where he's got to go. He has 2 bolts left, but not going to do a whole lot of good if he's dead. And the Maestro Evil Eye to finish things off from Redeemer. Unfortunate. That is the way to get downed. But there we go. Another round on the board. That's what you love, those Maestro Evil Eyes.
And that's Space Station Gaming. 2 rounds in a row saying, don't count us out yet.
Absolutely not.
They will be in this match still, setting themselves up for that potential comeback.
And that was them winning the bomb site that I feel like we saw Noble struggle the most on, which was Kitchen. I mean, obviously they did lose Penthouse the second time go around, but I feel like the one that where they won it, but it was more of a struggle. It was their 3rd bomb site, like you said. It came down to some specific plays early on that gave them some advantage.
Yeti with the double kill from the main lobby.
Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see though. They were going to go bar for a second there, but instead changed it to Penthouse. So we'll see if their Penthouse game is good enough to keep them alive in this. It is still 4-2. Huge advantage here to Noble, and Yeti going over to an operator he plays very well. Buck, Heavy's still going to stick on that glass, but not 6th pick at this time.
Yeah, I think once you've been found out, you may as well just commit.
Well, you know, you say that, but he 6-picked Castle so many times on defense.
I mean, I'm not speaking to the consistency of the thought process.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there's a thought process.
Yeah, one can hope.
Space Station going to be going to the penthouse and projector room. Now, the way that this was defended by Noble was pretty basic. It was a nice setup, though, and not basic actually. It was, for the most part, pretty basic, and then there was the billiards hold from Noble. The way that Space Station seemed to be setting themselves up, they're not going to be extending themselves over into billiards as much, and that is going to give them a little bit less versatility, I would say.
Yeah.
But more standard means you could, I guess, suppose, in a way, it's more reliable. It really depends on your perspective and depends on how the enemy team or depends on the efficiency of the other team in addressing your defensive setup.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, this is a more conventional bomb site. This used to be the primary before teams kind of started shifting around to different other primaries.
Yeah.
So this is one that Noble should be a little more comfortable attacking as the main site here. They should have a bit more figured out. Those mute jammers make it a little bit harder to verify that the setup is standard like you'd imagine, and so that may slow down things a little bit. But a soft wall for that window there is going to be a little potential problem with the Glaz, as well as Buck and the Zofia on board. There's so many things to counter that soft wall.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about if that's the best choice for that defense.
Noble do have a really good kit too, just to attack this site. You know, soft wall aside, everything in this kit is looking good. You got Buck, who's going to apply a vertical pressure from below, starting with the grenades, potentially getting a kill. Maybe just going for, actually no, that's just going for the batteries on the wall. Try not to expose himself too much, but he'll actually whip out the skeleton key in the end. Either way, you got the Buck who's going to apply that vertical pressure from below. You got the you got Breezy on the Capitao who's going to be able to apply very precision smokes and the firebolts to deny rotation. You've got the Glaz who will look through those smokes and lay down his own. The Thermite to open up the VIP wall, and the Zofia, like you talked about, so much disruption. So this is really the perfect kit to attack onto the projector and penthouse hold.
It just depends on them getting that close, but we're not seeing a lot of roam pressure outside of Chala. It looks like 4 people basically on site, although 2 of them are just slightly out of the site itself. Yeah. And those mute jammers, the only thing that's maybe going to help Redeemer not get spotted there, but we'll see if they even get that far. As most of the attack from Noble is focused on the other side here. Some ADS denial helping out a little bit, but they've already got the wall open and 1:15 left to work with, and Chala not roaming around to really do anything against them just yet because they don't seem to care about that side of the map.
Yeah, the roam pressure right now is very light from SSG, and in fact, Chala's going to rotate down to office and give his position away, so his roam has basically defaulted at this point. Acid going for the plant, but he will die to the C4 from Shuttle. Rampy gets Breezy. Yeti and Heavy now the last attackers. That's a Glaz who can still do some significant work in a great position, and he will get Shuttle. But the Buck downstairs, not anticipating any roamers. He's going to be confronting one, though, directly, and that's Chala, who will win the fight by simple ease. What a one-tap from Chala! Oh, no! Heavy standing still inside of Penthouse, and Chala lines it up. Easy kill there, and Space Station will take 3 in a row.
Well, both teams seem to have their defenses locked down so far. The 3 in a row, 2 of those being defense. This is looking like this could go either way. But this means we get to see a tour of the bomb sites, which is great because we get to see how each of these teams defends. We get to see some different ideas come out from them, which is always good for growing the meta, growing the Pro League in terms of, especially like you said, with some creative defenses coming out from Noble. It just means everyone kind of benefits from seeing a lot of defenses in a row, assuming you're on a map that has a lot of good defensible sites. With 4 viable ones on here, it's definitely nice, but Hookah, ever the short stick, and not really getting picked too much. And his 6th pick to Sledge and Smoke. Some trickiness coming out from these guys, but may or may not matter too much. The Smoke, obviously, a bit more important, I'd say, than the Sledge, but so it's always weird to me that Yeti will go with a Sledge instead of a Buck, just because I think he's overall usually more effective on Buck, but at the same time, it wasn't a huge impact that last round, so maybe he's just deciding different bomb site, different way of playing this. We know that they're going to be on one of the other bomb sites, probably either Bar or Hookah, probably mostly Bar. So you know they're picking the operator that is most appropriate for them, I suppose, to attack the site. But we are going to see the first Blackbeard actually stuck and not 6th pick off of, which is going to be heavy. So maybe we'll see whether or not that SR25 nerf makes a difference, as he's going to be on the DMR instead of the Scar.
Yeah, interesting to see him commit fully to the DMR. I mean, it did lose a lot of damage, but it wasn't so much that it's going to gimp it.
Probably not.
Yeah,
sometimes it's hard to be sure on that just off the numbers till you really get the feel for it in play or see it played.
It's an 11-point reduction from 72 to 61. I mean,
yeah.
It's a pretty heavy hit, but at the same time, I don't think it's actually going to change how many shots to kill it takes for most operators.
Yeah.
I imagine it'll make a difference with the 3 armors, maybe?
Yeah.
I doubt it. I doubt it somehow. So either way, he is going to be a lot faster with that shield equipped now. Again, it's a 30% reduction to the speed reduction that you have when you have the shield equipped, and you can see you move a lot faster, really cruising around with it.
Harvey definitely going to take advantage of that because he's going to play a bit more inside the building now. Interesting to see that they reinforced all of the wall that was going to the outside of the bar, the Sunrise bar, which is something that we see sometimes the softer side being towards where the bar itself is. But in this case, it's just going to be completely reinforced. But they're attacking from the delivery kitchen side. A lot of that wall open there, so they can fight from the outside, as well as on the other side. So there's a lot of open wall to fight the courtyard for any attackers pressuring from there if they do, as well as for defenders who are late roamers coming around for retake of the site to be able to help retake it. And you notice that's a big trend on the kitchen itself, but now also being used on bar. So it's definitely something I've noticed as defenders downstairs wanting to have that extra accessibility for retakes.
Absolutely 0 vertical roam from SSG is going to allow the Sledge to apply continuous vertical pressure using his hammer and push these defenders off of their mirror windows, which will hurt the hold as a whole.
Yeah, again, it is surprising that he's going to play Sledge instead of Buck just because Buck would do this job just as well. But at the same time, you know, it just could be a personal preference how you attack the site and how he wants to play that ACOG. Battery tricking, unfortunately, going to deny Acid, and he is not going to be able to thermite that wall. They need to maybe be a little more prepared for that bandit tricking next time.
Yeah. The only reason that's a viable strategy is specifically because of the castle, and Heavy is going to deny any continuous bandit tricking as Chala gets dispatched from the window on the south side of that little extension.
Well, that answers some of that Blackbeard question.
Yeah, still a very viable operator, and I think the mobility has aided him quite a lot. Now, the nade right above the bar will be heard likely, but the marks are still coming out, and just barely missing Rampy behind Sunrise. He'll be able to maintain that position as the smoke run out from Thinking Nade will get Heavy, an impressive feat to say the least. A second for Thinking Nade as he comes back to site, but Acid and Crazy responding after Redeemer gets one for himself. A 2 versus 2 with 30 seconds. The attackers have the control they want though, and all they need to do is go for that plant. Crazy gonna be in the Sunrise bar. He is the influential player here. If he dies, it'll be a loss for the attackers almost certainly. Crazy holding that long angle through the rotation. Shuttle will win that fight. The last is Acid, and he's tucked away in a corner against 2 very lit defenders. But the C4, well placed and well timed from Shuttle, will win the round for Space Station, and they have come back 4 rounds in a row in response to Noble's 4 in a row, and we're at 4-4.
I'm feeling like this is a 5-5 tie.
You think it's going to be a 5-5 tie?
It sure looks like it, because if the pattern continues and they win their 4th defensive round, that puts them at 5, and then Noble wins their attack round for the first attack round, you know, as a mirror of last time, then you're in a 5-5 tie.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 5-5 tie. No, I'm on the same page with you there, but we could also see this go either way, to be honest.
Absolutely.
I mean, if it's either Space Station starts their landslide, or continues their landslide, or Noble starts their comeback and they manage to get their own landslide, their own mini. Well, I don't know. It could happen.
It's been nice that at least either way, if we end up in a tie or a very close situation, that we've seen very different styles of defenses be successful on the same bomb sites. It's been a very different defense, but it's surprisingly working for both teams. Both teams showing that they have their strengths and they're playing to them, and it just happens to be that that's on defense on this map. So that's good for all those teams that were really struggling on their defenses. They can start to look at this match and be like, well, here's a whole potpourri of ideas for how you could stop losing on defense.
So comparing the two teams right now, Space Station seems to be a little bit heavier on the fragging side and the the maneuverability, the flexibility side, and I'm sure that's very much by design. But that means their strategies are less elaborate than Noble's. Meanwhile, on Noble's side, they've been struggling a little bit in their fights, but their actual executions, their defenses, all of their strats, they're so well thought out. And they're not too intricate. That's one thing we see a lot of teams really falter on when they're setting up strats. They make them too intricate. They get all these little things down that, oh, we need to do this and that, and it makes it a really fragile strat. But Nobles are really, really creative, but not too much like a clock.
Yeah, it's definitely been the case where, flexibility does win in the end. But again, there are also a lot of interesting strats being set up to begin with, at least from the defense, in terms of making sure they have some good ideas. We saw, for example, some of that retake ability work out. But that jump out last time was definitely unexpected on the Blackbeard. And not only that, but he jumped back into the window and got a kill from there. So it's like some of the flexibility in terms of the way they're able to play for retakes and the fact that roamers are living so long, I think what's changing the defensive plays, because they're not roam clearing like we see so many other teams do.
Yeah, so I would say that the Space Station strategies are a lot less elaborate and a lot less thought out, but I think that's very much by design, and that's because of things like Thinking Nade, being able to go for that run out. That's a beautiful play right there, and that's just that individual skill paying off for Space Station. So you've got a bit of a clash of play styles here between Noble and Space Station, yet at the same time they share a very similar slot in Pro League. I mean, Noble is in 4th place, Space Station in 5th place, and they're both the rising teams within the scene.
And if they both tie, I imagine that won't change their placing too much.
No.
They should remain relatively the same.
Very, very similar, I'm sure. Breezy going to get the first kill of the round. That's going in Noble's favor, so they're finally just starting things off well. And they really needed that. They're also even going to have a little bit of damage put onto the Maestro thanks to Breezy. Redeemer going to eat some of that. He'll be down to about 45 HP.
And that might be a bit of a factor. We have seen the Evil Eyes play into this a bit more with the way Redeemer plays them. Usually he's normally the Echo main that we've seen, but we also seen him be very effective on Evil Eyes. Yeah. So it seems like that kind of role just seems to suit his playstyle.
Noble has taken full control over Kitchen, but they have to anticipate these roamers. Yeti's going to get Redeemer on the entry. Heavy gets the Rampy as he attempts to flank. Inside a main lobby, though, Chala will get Breezy. Another flank denial eliminated. And they're still Thinking Nade as that X Factor from above. The Diffuser has been planted, though, so this is looking great for Noble in the 4 versus 2. It's going to force these defenders to really be pressured for time and go for that retake. Heavy gets Chala as he attempts to come back into sight. Thinking Nade will respond, though, into Crazy. This Blackbeard on the long angle all the way from Sandwich has been doing great in the round in denying those rotations, and he's going to continue to do so. Castle moving over to main lobby will eat that bullet from Heavy, and that's 3 for him in the round.
Definitely a good round for Heavy. He's playing that Blackbeard very, very well. It seems to be something that he has always been very strong at in Blackbeard and Glaz and those kind of long angle operators, playing those very effectively in terms of making sure that he's able to do his job in terms of holding angles rather than necessarily playing in too aggressively and getting himself killed. I mean, that last time that he died was due to a jump out, something that you're not going to be always as prepared for as a Blackbeard, because you can put down claymores and things like that, but outside of that, there's not much you could do except for having someone watch your back. In that situation, I don't think he expected anyone to fly out that window. So definitely worked out. But I think the big difference that round and why Noble finally made a comeback is he cleared the roamers. That's something we just have not been seeing pretty much any round for the most part. Yeah, maybe they didn't clear all of them. Maybe they didn't control the whole map. But a little bit more so than we had seen previously.
Yeah, their form of roam clear was just waiting for the roamers to start their push on the
Vitality style.
Yeah, Vitality style. And having someone in a position to hold for the roamers. And that, of course, was Heavy. And he did a stellar job of it, really.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it wasn't an aggressive roam clear, but nonetheless, the roamers were just neutralized.
They were clear.
So, yeah.
Effectively, they were clear.
The end of the day, the result was the same. We'll see, though, if they're able to pull off this attack again. If they are able to finally win Penthouse this time, the second time around, which is exactly what happened for SSG last time, then they will win 6-4, and we will not see that tie situation. But we are on the final round, and we are very close to seeing that tie. So it's looking like pretty much what we expected in terms of the later rounds. But it is surprising to see it took this long for Noble to kind of swing back after they had such a strong start. You know, we always think that momentum is going to be a bigger factor, but the side switching thing has sometimes shown that that can be all it takes for a team to switch the momentum around.
So this is anyone's round. The last 2 minutes, 40 seconds, though, of this match will be transpiring here as Heavy sets himself up on the east window. He's going to be able to apply a lot of pressure and deny potential rotations. Now, in theory, if he sticks here, denies the rotation to Master, all the while Noble are making that push into a VIP, could be a pretty easy plant. But I don't think that SSG is going to allow this to come out in that fashion. Last time they defended here, they were very assertive in denying the plant behind bed.
They're not doing anything to stop those batteries from being taken out, so Yeti actually in a good position potentially to help open that wall for Acid. They're just not actively denying it.
So this is very scary, the way that Noble's playing this. They are stacking up heavily on the guitar doorway, and that could cost you a lot of life if you play it wrong. The batteries are going to be eliminated, though, so that's very important. They're going to be able to open up that VIP wall now and potentially go for a plant. As they eliminate the left mirror window, that will also mean that the C4 from the long angle that we saw last time from Space Station is no longer feasible. They're going to have to challenge directly onto these guitar players inside from the attack in order to hit the C4, and that's not easy to do. The shield actually, no, that shield will allow for a C4 if they inch their way in, and I think that's what Mira's doing right now. As you hear the wall being open, Shuttle winning a fight against a Blackbeard on a tight angle. That's not supposed to happen.
Well, his shield was nerfed.
It was nerfed, but it was a body shot from Shuttle. In this case, not relevant.
Yeah.
But yes, the shield being placed in that doorway means that there's still potential for a C4 to deny the plant. So Noble's going to have to bait that out if they want to be successful in this round. Shuttle still has it in hand, and he's going to move his way over to the drop down. Great positioning from him. The phone calls will come out, so his position has likely been given away. More pressure here from Projector. The defense hasn't lost any amount of control so far. The C4 will miss, though. The fuse is going down right now from Acid. It's been marked out, but it's successful regardless. Shuttle with the big plays, going in for control of VIP. He's going to run out of ammunition, though, and he will lose his life. 3 versus 3. Breezy is lit inside of VIP, and the roamers are going to start coming back to roost. Breezy trying to hold that hallway best he can. Shala will win the fight against Yeti. What a headshot. Rampy gets crazy. The last attacker now is Breezy with so little HP, and Rampy will hit the headshot. SSG will equalize 5-5, a draw between Space Station and Noble.
Unfortunately, I was looking forward to talking to one of these guys, get some questions answered. But nonetheless, I think that is a very, very appropriate result. The result we probably should have got from that first match, but I feel satisfied with a 5-5 between these two teams because they've proven that a 5-5 is probably an accurate assessment.
Yeah, as much as I would you know, it's always nice to see a victor, an outright victor. I do think that these teams are very equally matched, and you know, they're very different teams at that. I mean, you've got Space Station a little bit leaning more into that flexibility, that frag potential. Noble, on the other hand, a much more strategic squad, but they both have their pros and they both